I called the police on my neighbors after they took our daughter to their Halloween party behind us. My husband, 39M, and I, 35F, moved to this country when we first married due to his work. We had our first child 6F here. He was then moved to Germany where our other 2M, 4M and 3F were born. His company decided to move him here again, but to the opposite side of the country to where we lived the last time after we had our fourth, F 5 months. So needless to say we know the culture despite not being native. Our daughter started school this August for the first time, and a lot of her classmates live in the same area we do. One of the boys in her class lives at the end of the road behind us. When we first moved into the neighborhood back in May we were welcomed by a few of our close neighbors and this boy's mother. Let's call her Astrid. She took a shine to my baby, but most people fuss over babies so I didn't think much of it. The day she mentioned to me the loss of her 2 baby girls and how fortunate I was to have many girls, as she only had 3 boys. The day after she came with her husband, let's call him Morton, and he too wanted to pick up the baby and paid her a lot of compliments. Until he met our oldest daughter and remarked that I didn't think much of her at the time. He said my daughter and his son could easily pass for twins as they are in the same class and they look alike. They don't. My daughter is super blonde with gray eyes and their son has dark blondish hair with hazel eyes. So, I corrected him. He feigned offense and said what he meant was that she could pass for his daughter, the baby too. Again I corrected them that with his light brown hair and hazel eyes, neither of my girls could. He once again emphasized that he was referring to our characteristics, not just our appearance. Then he laughed it off and said he was just joking. They then invited us to go out for drinks, but we declined as neither one of us drinks and we don't like to be too friendly with needs. In the summer, we ran into Morton and Astrid a few times at the nearby store. They used to affectionately call someone Julius Jern and sing a song from a popular movie. After a few times, I told them to knock it off as it was no longer funny. Since May and up until a week ago they have tried to invite us to many get-togethers which I found strange as they hardly ever ask the neighbors that they have known for longer than us. Morton and Astrid have been talking to my daughter quite often as she walks past their house on her way home from school. She's bothered by this because both of them have tried to pick her up, and Astrid has also tried to touch her hair a few times. When my husband confronted them about it they said it's just the culture here. It's not. The picking up and touching of her hair stopped after that. At the beginning of October, they wanted us to help them host a Halloween party at the end of October and wanted us to meet them at their house so we could coordinate the children's costumes, especially the twins. We politely declined because we don't participate in Halloween. They kept insisting and wouldn't take no for an answer. Even had their son knock on our door a few times to play with his twin after school. Knocking on doors to play with other children is normal and most children roam out and about as it's a safe neighborhood and country so that part was never suspicious to me. I had to ask my friend to stop joking about calling my daughter one of his twins because it had become repetitive and wasn't funny anymore. My husband goes offshore at times due to his work and has been with me and the children since mid-October. My daughter's teacher also lives in the neighborhood and she is a childhood friend of Astrid. She was at the park near our house when Astrid approached me and gave me 3 costumes, one for each of my daughters. She said as we don't celebrate Halloween she and her husband had decided to host a Halloween party instead and one of my girls to wear these. I was shocked but told her no. It would not happen. The teacher tried to convince me that this would be a nice way of meeting others' families and it would be fun for our children. Astrid said she had spent a lot of money on adjusting the costumes and had found the right hairstyle for my daughter to go as Gretel to her son Hans. I told her no one made her spend the money as I had made it very clear that none of my children would be going. Right in front of me, she took the hairband off my daughter's hair and tried to put one on that she had bought for the costume. I told her to stop and started walking off. She tried to apologize and said, "Relax, we are neighbors and friends." Her teacher followed me and said not to be uptight and that Astrid meant no harm. She just likes girls. Honestly, who does that? You don't just walk up to someone's kid and start changing their appearance without asking. It's not about the hairband, it's about respect. On Monday, my daughter came home with a different hairstyle and accessories from what I had sent her off with. I asked her how she got them, and she said her teacher had done her hair during lunch. I asked her if she had played rough so her hair needed to be fixed, and she said no. Yesterday morning, I spoke to her teacher, and she confirmed that it was indeed her who had fixed my daughter's hair and that it was Astrid who bought the stuff. I asked her why she would go against my wishes, to which she said it was only hair stuff and Astrid didn't want to throw it away as she had spent money on it. She thought with 3 daughters I would appreciate help with some free accessories. She also said that I had not made it explicitly clear not to fix my daughter's hair. Seriously, it's common sense that you don't mess with a child's appearance without their parents' permission. I don't need anyone's help if it means disregarding my wishes. I left after telling her to never do it again and return the items. In the evening, the neighborhood children went trick-or-treating. Those participating were informed it would last from 6 to 8. I let my daughter go off and play with one of the other girls who wasn't trick-or-treating. At about 7, I couldn't hear them, so I went outside to check, and they were not there. I asked one of the other children if they had seen her, and they said Morton and Astrid had collected her in their car, and her friend had gone home. Panic set in. My heart was racing as I asked next door to watch my other 2 while I ran with the baby to their place. When I arrived there, they were having a party in the garden and my daughter was there. She had her hair done, she had a candy bag, and she was also wearing the costume. In my anger, I called the police before speaking to anyone, and once I got off the call, I called both of them pedos and everything under the sun in multiple languages. When the police arrived and I spoke to them, we left. Today at school her teacher was very short with me and said there was no need for that as Morton volunteers for the children's football club. Having a police report filed on him was not the wisest of choices. She explained that if I wasn't happy I should have asked for a mediation appointment at the school instead of embarrassing Astrid and Morton in front of everyone. She also mentioned that it was she who helped my daughter change into the costume, and it's not unusual for teachers to help their students change here. That part is partially true for this country. She said, Astrid has been grieving, and her behavior is normal for someone who lost so many children one after the other, and not to make it harder on her as people have gossiped quite a bit about it. I understand grief can make people act out, but that doesn't excuse overstepping boundaries with my child. Some lines shouldn't be crossed, no matter the circumstances. She said they didn't know they had crossed a line and it wouldn't happen again. So, just drop the complaint at the police. On Friday, I have to make a full statement at the police station. This isn't just about a misunderstanding, it's about trust. If they didn't realize they crossed a line this time, how can I trust that they won't do something similar in the future? She wants me to cancel it as Astrid and Morton are not bad people, and she thinks I should be glad someone else thinks this highly of my daughter. She wasn't harmed, and she sees no reason for me to be angry as the children all play in each other's gardens anyway. She said not to blow things out of proportion as at no point was my daughter alone with Morton. Update. Thank you for all the reassurance. It was helpful. A lot of people asked about an update, and many didn't see how it was going. We filed a report at the police station, and basically, we were dismissed. We had 2 female officers on the case, but a male police officer came in, offered us some water, and tried to make small talk. It's frustrating when you're not taken seriously, especially in a situation involving your child. Dismissing concerns like this can lead to bigger issues down the road. He is the ex of my daughter's teacher and told us as much. We had to report over 2 days as on the first day my daughter was too tired to relay all the details. On the second appointment, we had 2 female police officers, and her ex also joined us. It seemed like he had already talked to her teacher about it, but he denied it when I confronted him about it, citing confidentiality. I was told they would have a word with Astrid and Morton, but I doubt they took it seriously as all 3 kind of wanted to know why I wouldn't let my daughter go to a party. When we got home, we had a knock on the door in the evening, and it was Astrid and Morton. I didn't open the door. On Saturday the 11th, while my daughter was playing in the garden with my next-door neighbor's children, she said Astrid was taking pictures of her from across the street. On Sunday, they came by again and kept knocking on the door. This constant intrusion is beyond unsettling. It's like they're trying to force their way into our lives, and it's making us feel unsafe in our own homes. They said they knew I was inside and that they wanted to talk. I didn't open the door. I phoned the police, and they said if they become violent, call back. In the meantime, just open the door and tell them you don't want to talk to them. I didn't, and they left. They left a message in my postbox. It was a long message about how they felt connected to my daughter and how I should take better care of her. How they know how it feels like to lose a child and that they only want what is best for her. On the 15th, I kept my daughter from school as she said that Astrid's son kept teasing her. Instead, I spoke to the principal about the matter and explained that I needed this absence validated. I took my daughter to the store, and I think maybe I was followed because not 5 minutes had gone by when Astrid walked in and bumped into me by the dairy section. She apologized and blocked me in with her cart because I tried to get away. She started talking to my daughter and tried to stroke my baby's hair. So, I screamed. That made her walk away from me. The day after, I found another note in my postbox, telling me not to be so hysterical, and I have that saved. I phoned my husband to come home or find a reason to get home ASAP. On the 18th, both Astrid and Morton confronted me in the park and wanted to know why I was keeping Julia Stern away from them due to a misunderstanding. This is no misunderstanding, this is harassment. Their behavior has crossed every line, and I need to protect my family from whatever this is turning into. I told them politely that Morton is a big guy and I am not as strong as him, that my husband was home. I lied. They walked away. I phoned the police and gave them the latest evidence of the harassment, but they said they would have a word with the 2. On Monday I attended a meeting with the principal and the teacher where she apologized, but she made it out that it was a misunderstanding. The principal was very nice and told the teacher to back off sternly and not to mix her professional life and private life. Astrid and Morton came by my house that evening, and while I was attending to the laundry in the basement they were talking to my girl in the garden and she let slip that her dad wasn't home yet. They gave her some cookies, but she threw them in the outside bin while they watched on. On Tuesday they confronted us on the way to school and asked me why I lied about my husband. Luckily I wasn't alone and one of the neighbors on my street told them to back off. On the way back from picking her up at the end of the day we took a taxi home. In the evening they were banging on my door again and they had their sons with them. I called the police, but they only arrived after they had left. I discussed it with my husband on the phone and he managed to get 3 days off, but he won't be home before this weekend as his workplace didn't see it as an emergency until yesterday's incident. Yesterday they came by again while we were in the park. I was preoccupied with my son, and I noticed a tap on my shoulder. It was Morton holding my daughter, and he said I should take better care of her as she might walk into the road while my attention is elsewhere. He made it out as if she had run into the street, but my daughter denied it. It's infuriating when someone tries to make you feel like a bad parent, especially when your child insists nothing happened. Morton's behavior felt more like control than concern. I grabbed her and the other children and left and packed some stuff. I asked my next-door neighbor to collect my post and hold onto it while I booked a hotel. She informed me that the post office would do it for free for 14 days, but that she would look out for my house and note if they come by again. It's comforting to know that at least some people around us are looking out for our safety. In times like this, you see who you can trust. Words went round that they were being a bit weird about my daughter. I have been staying in this hotel since, and my husband is arranging tickets for us to visit my parents before the Christmas holidays. At this point, I don't want to stay here anymore, and my husband will have to ask for a transfer. When a situation escalates to the point where you have to uproot your life, it's beyond just a problem, it's a threat. We need to get out of here for our peace of mind. I spoke to the principal, and she said she would check in on my daughter in the morning and keep her at pickup time, and I could pick her up from the office. I haven't told the principal about our moving plans just in case she mentions it to another teacher and it gets back to Astrid's friend. I hate lying, but feel that if I don't, it may put us at risk. Sometimes, protecting your family means not being completely honest. It's a tough decision, but safety comes first. One of my neighbors on the other side of the street said both Astrid and Morton have mentioned that they suspect that I neglect my child and that they tried to insinuate that maybe I was too overwhelmed with 4 little ones while my husband was offshore. She told them I wasn't, and they have now moved on to another neighbor trying to badmouth me. It seems like they are recruiting witnesses and helpers. This is turning into a nightmare. When people start spreading lies about you, it can ruin your reputation and even your life. It's terrifying how quickly things can spiral out of control. So, my neighbor said it's best to keep documentation in case they call CPS on us and to get a copy and confirmation from the police that there is bad blood between us. My husband can deal with the paperwork in the aftermath and join us when he can arrange a transfer, but I am not staying here anymore. Final update. A lot has happened in the last few days. I don't want to give too many details as this story has been leaked to other social media without my approval. I also don't want Astrid and Morton to find this now that it's on several platforms. The internet can be a double-edged sword. While sharing your story can bring support, it also exposes you to unwanted attention and can escalate an already dangerous situation. I am with my parents. We are all safe now. My husband will be joining us in the new year once he sorts out his new assignment. I won't say what country we are in now, as my husband said that Astrid came by the house under the guise of giving us Christmas cookies 2 days ago, wondering why my daughter hadn't been at school. He told her politely to leave. Before leaving, I only told the principal and not her teacher. Her principal understood and said it was her responsibility to relay that information to the class and the teacher. Today she was at our place again, asking him where she was, as the principal told the class that my daughter was sad to leave them, but we had moved. No other details were given. It's unsettling that Astrid is still trying to find out where we are, even after we've made it clear we want distance. I'm grateful for the principal's discretion, but this situation feels far from over. She made her school friends drawings that were given to them. Sad as it is, I don't want her to contact her friends in case they say something to the wrong person. My daughter will make new friends and hopefully won't miss her Norwegian friends too much. I did tell 2 of my closest neighbors on the day I was leaving, but they were always on friendly terms with me and they were on my side all along. To be honest, I don't know where my husband might get sent next. For now, we are all safe. Thank you for all the support. I know I didn't reply to all, but I had a lot going on. Please don't hold it against me. In the end, safety is what matters most. It's a relief to be out of that toxic environment, even if it means starting over. Hello everyone, your support means the world to me. Please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and turning on notifications to stay updated. The story is too long, so I will upload more parts soon. Make sure to subscribe. Thank you.